Hello and welcome everyone to another Jenga interview here at PAX Unplugged. Today I am here with Sarah Potter and Jason SanMarco from Forteller Games. And you guys are not an actual board game, you are an app that supports board games.
Correct.
Through really cool sound effects, narrations, and other things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And as we have been doing for the PAX Unplugged, we are using our new set of Jenga right here. And so we have the pink blocks, which are about the app in this case, the teal blue ones that are about the board game industry, and then the yellow ones, which are whatever I'd like to ask. So why don't one of you go ahead and get started and pull a block.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, this one's really loose.
Alrighty.
Watch me knock it over right away.
So, about the app.
Yep.
First I've ever heard of this was on the Isofaran Guard
Yes.
Kickstarter. And what you do is you have an app that narrates for these kinds of like more story-driven games. So, how did you guys start with that? Like, what was the pitch that you guys did? Like, and who approached who in this case?
So there's three main partners of the company. We're all friends and gamers. And one of the owners basically came to me with this idea of creating a soundscape and narration for Gloomhaven. That was the first one that we started with. And it was an interesting concept, and we sort of put it out on Reddit to see, like, does the community like this? Should we sort of move forward with it?
Yeah.
And we got really positive feedback. And most of us are in the tech industry. I'm a user experience consultant. We're all software engineers. So we thought, let's build a platform and sort of just take this to the next level. Specifically around Isofaran Guard, we were contacted by Eric Bitterman, who's the owner of Sky Kingdom Games, after he saw our Reddit post and our Facebook post, and said this is something that we really would need for our new Isofaran Guard game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just kind of luck and being at the right place at the right time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and pull a block now.
Okay.
I'm going to get this one right here, and I'm going to continue this conversation because I'm curious about how exactly like, does this work? Like, you know, is it you have like all these other soundscapes and things like that that like, you know, give you like the background music for different games, RPGs, and things like that. But this one is integrated to the point where you're reading all the different scenarios and things like that, and and all the text behind it. So when you're doing that, like when you're using this app, how does that like interact with like what you have? Do you have like a soundscape for like each area of Gloomhaven, for example, or like, and then you just choose like which stories you're pulling out and things like that, or like, how does that all work?
So the good news is that Gloomhaven is pretty linear when it comes to, I mean, you can jump around, but they have numbered scenarios. So you would go from 1 to 99, I think is up to it. And within, so what you do inside the app is you would select the scenario that you wish to run, and then we have individual tracks which would coincide with the introduction of the scenario, any triggers that may happen, and also the conclusion that is inside the book. So it's almost very similar to following along with just reading it aloud from the manual, but it's an audio file that you would play to compensate for that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds great.
My turn.
Yes.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Just gonna knock it all over right now. There we go.
Alrighty.
Oh jeez. Apparently I can't play Jenga today.
No worries. Okay, so how did you both get started in the board game industry? Like, what was your board game story? How'd you get into this?
Well, for me, I have been playing board games since I was a kid. And it slowly began with Monopoly, and then it built into more, and then Settlers of Catan, and then I hated Settlers of Catan. And then I met my now husband, where he was like, I like to play really complicated board games. And I'm like, thank God, oh, finally. So I was able to really like begin to really dive deeper into some more story-based board games, which was really great. And through him, I know my Jason and Travis and everyone at Forteller. And so by being the wife of one of the really best friends, I was able to kind of weave my way in and become best friends with everyone through playing D&D and everything too. So I mean, like I've played casual games for such a long time, and then in the last 2 years, it's really just been like diving deep into board games. I've always been a nerd and a gamer though, so that kind of just was like an enhanced natural pathway.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, for me, I was more a tabletop role player for a long time. I'm actually, I would say 3 or 4 years into board gaming personally. And you know, one of the owners, Travis, he introduced me to Gloomhaven and then Seventh Continent, and my wife and I picked up Pandemic Legacy, and we just started getting really deep into these sort of legacy games. And I'm really interested in like rich story-based games, whether it be board games or tabletop. And so that's Gloomhaven and Isofaran Guard. They just kind of drew me in, and this is just exactly where I need to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull.
A little light on that side.
There we go. Yeah, it looks like I can possibly have to pull on the other side. So you mentioned the legacy games.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys are looking into, partnering with companies that are doing legacy games in the future to add that additional element? Because legacy games are already very story oriented.
Yeah.
And then like adding this additional thing to it.
I think that legacy games pairs really well with something like this because there is such a rich story environment that we can just tap into that and just bring that immersion just one level up. And I think that's what we're really trying to focus on. Not disrupting the game itself, but adding to the experience overall. Yeah, so legacy games definitely is something we're looking into.
We've had a lot of people that have listened to some of our audio today that want more, and you can see just like the reactions on their faces as they're listening to this audio. They're getting excited. So it's definitely something that the market is demanding us just based on like the interest alone. So it's definitely going to we're definitely going to have bigger, better, not necessarily better, because all of them they're great in their own way, but definitely a lot more going on in the future.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of this. Like, Gloomhaven is a game that we play on stream a lot, and like we do all the narration. But it would be great to have like all these other kinds of things along with it.
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
Cool.
All right, you guys.
All right, I'm gonna try to go for a personal one. I think that's
not that one.
Maybe this one here.
There we go.
Man, this makes me nervous.
You're pushing it through the wrong side.
Nope. I got it.
All right, there we go.
We just played Dread in October, and so I had a big Jenga set.
Yep.
It was very terrifying.
Those games are like there are a few games that use Jenga as the mechanic, and they're amazing. Retention is awesome.
Oh, definitely.
So, Yellows, random questions. What are you guys' hobbies outside of board gaming?
I feel like that's a really hard question because board gaming has been our hobby for such a long time. I would say outside of that, I'm really into the female empowerment movement and really trying to involve women and young girls in the gaming industry a little bit more because there's such a lack of diversity, not just between genders and everything, but just within like the different kinds of people playing board games, and really kind of focusing on helping bring in that female segment that can really provide their voice. And there are so many new games like Wingspan that are such great games, not just for the males out there playing board games, but women really love that game too. And it allows like our Travis, one of the co-founders, he has a wife and she doesn't play board games as often as we do, but she loves Wingspan. So like games like that are so great because they bring in so much more involvement from the family and and wives and girlfriends and friends. So I think it's becoming such a great medium. So board games are just my hobby all the way around.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to follow that.
Yeah.
So I was going to say I build terrain.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. Cool
Yeah,
too,
but empowering women is definitely.
Oh, I know. Like
important.
his terrains are amazing. We played a D&D game last year at Christmas. Like that was by far the coolest thing he has built so far. Like we battled Santa Claus, and it was really cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And Jack Frost.
And Jack Frost. Jack Frost was a little more challenging for one of our characters.
Yeah. So, and I've got 3 kids, so I like spend a lot of time with them, and trying to get them into games too. So we're doing things like stuff fables.
Yeah.
Because my youngest is 7, so you know she's starting to get to the age where she can get into things like that too. It's really fun.
Yeah,
awesome.
I forgot. I have kids too. I've been shopping around for games to bring them. The snowman dice.
Oh yeah,
I'm thinking of getting that and bringing that to them because they're 6 and 7, and my son's autistic, so bringing in like more games that are inclusive to his special needs is important too.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's in general inclusivity. The more the merrier.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. So, how have your experiences been since announcing Forteller and going to all the different cons? How's the community reaction been there? Like, you talked about it a little bit, but
yeah, no, I think it's been overall positive. We have had some feedback, especially at Gen Con. We talked to I think probably over 600 or 700 people. And we had some people saying like, this is great, but I like to do my own voices, which is totally fine. You know, like we don't want to disrupt how you play, you know. But overall, I think it's been really positive. We've had people say that they can't wait for this to come out. We've actually had some, because we do have Scenario 1 out in the open right now for people to sort of experience. And we have people playing Scenario 1 with the narration and just getting really good feedback from them. And it's been stressful and crazy, but it's been a lot of fun and really positive. Yeah.
I would say we're definitely in the startup phase in terms of like gathering loyalty and audience and advocates and everything. But I started working with the team back in August.
I think so.
End of August. And we've really had a lot of people rally around Forteller. Like the Oathsworn came out on Kickstarter, and we've had a lot of people like we love the narration that they've had for the game. And some of our advocates have gone on to the comments and said things like, you guys should really have Forteller do your narration, which is so humbling to us just to have these people who our app comes out next month. Like to have all these people that are already so excited for the app to come out is really wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh,
You guys.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes. Maybe from the bottom.
Yeah, I think.
That's a good one.
Oh God.
Oh.
I'll be the jerk that puts it in the middle.
Fair enough. Okay, so you all have in developing this app, you're getting narration, you're getting professional voice actors, things like that, to come in and do the narrations. How has that experience been in bridging almost like app, because there are a lot of voice actors, and we see now Critical Role and other things like that, and then has your reaction been like really excited from like the voice actors, like oh, I'd love to do something like this for board games and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean the main actor that we used for the Gloomhaven narrator was a Gloomhaven fan to begin with. Awesome. So when we reached out, he was very excited to do the voicing and stuff.
Yeah.
From the actors, they seem like they're really interested in getting into this field. Like we're a small company, so we're not going for the Matt Mercers and stuff at the moment. So we are looking for people who are either starting their careers or they're used to doing maybe smaller projects. But we're finding some fantastic talent. And they all are really eager and very excited about being part of this process. Daniel, and I'm always going to forget his last name, Ammerman, I think it is, does some voices for League of Legends.
Oh, awesome.
And just the other day, because we were doing some sample pieces for a new publisher that we're talking to, and he's like, anything you have, just send it to me, because I just want to be a part of this. So that's sort of the response we've been getting.
That's awesome.
We've had a couple of people who recognize the Forteller brand already that have come up to me at the con and have given me their card like, I would really like to be considered for voice acting. So that's really, really cool to see too.
yeah, the community really, it's been rallying around this. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think it's my pull.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay.
It's getting a little thin right here.
Yep. All right. So, random one. One of our favorite questions to ask of everyone who we have on for Jenga interviews is, what's your favorite donut?
I know my son loves chocolate Long Johns, and like I used to really like those donuts too. But so we did this reward system for him, and he always gets that donut every single Friday when he gets like all of his happy faces for the week. And my thing has been going for an apple fritter, which is more derived from my nostalgia for my grandpa. He loved apple fritters, and then the cake donut, like the most basic plain donut in the world. But I don't know, like I think food for me, and especially like donuts as a whole, are so like memory based. So I would say like apple fritter and the basic B donut.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, I like the coffee crumb donuts. Yeah, just like a little bit of sweet and like sometimes cinnamony.
Oh yeah.
And like just it's a little bit more basic, but they're great.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay, your pull.
All right, I'm gonna try to get from the bottom here. Oh, there's one right there. Cool.
Oh my God, be careful.
Let me pause for a
Let it
minute.
stabilize.
Yeah. Oh, that's getting really.
That's getting
wobbly.
pretty rickety.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rickety, Rick and Morty.
But
Yeah.
I always like those jokes.
They're the best. Puns are amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, for your experience in the industry, like, before you started up Forteller, did you work in the industry at all? Did you do any other things in the industry?
No, I'm 16 years now into the internet industry, so I'm a software designer and a user experience consultant, and that's sort of been my just wheelhouse since like 2003 or 2004. So when we sort of entered this, it was a little bit uncharted waters. But we were, we have something we can ground ourselves with, which is around our application, because we know apps.
Yeah.
And so, but talking with like Eric Bitterman from Sky Kingdom and from talking with Isaac from Cephalofair, we've started to understand the industry a little bit more, and we found that like the community itself is actually pretty small. And everyone kind of knows everyone, and that makes it a little bit easier to sort of network and understand it. But no, it's really fascinating. I've never been in this industry.
Yeah, I did an interesting comparison the other day. So, on the whole, like tightly knit community kind of thing, like most communities, you'd say like a quilt, knitted like a quilt. And I would say like the game board industry is a really well crafted, tightly knit oven mitt. Like it's really small, but we're really close, and we can really get behind like game makers and publishers and creators that are really doing something great in the community and really back each other up and help everyone kind of rise together.
Yeah, I mean, I found like everyone wants to help everyone else because everyone loves gaming and they just want to bring in more people. So it just makes it easier.
And it makes our jobs more fun too, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right.
Let's see. What have I got? Let's see. Ooh, is that gonna go? No, that is not gonna go.
that is a hard pass on that one.
Oh, I see a couple loose ones there that we could probably tap into later.
I'm also gonna do the whole put it in the middle. So you both mentioned that you really like role-playing games. Do you have a favorite character that you've ever played in one of these?
I'm really in love with my character right now that we've been playing. He threatened to kill my character today. I was very upset about it. But she is like, I just started doing this character last year. And she's like this combination of like who I view myself as like an idealistic version. As well as this really tough, like Arrow, Katniss Everdeen style character, who's really like headstrong. And when we had this really soul-crushing game a couple of months ago, it really helped me understand like how to develop. I love you, Jason, but it was soul-crushing. It really helped me kind of understand more of the emotional aspects of my character and get to know her on a level that was so much more deeper than just her toughness and her ability to like do really great things in battle, which I really appreciate. So like while it was soul crushing, it was also a really great learning opportunity about that character to really develop her more.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's great to hear, though. I DM most of the time, so I have like hundreds of different characters. I have played in the past. I had a tiefling bard that was really fun to play. He was part assassin, but it was a spellcasting bard.
Yeah.
But the backstory was he was part of the class in a bard only assassination division called the Lullaby.
Oh, that's
yeah. So that character, I like him probably more than others because his backstory was so fleshed out.
Yeah.
And but I don't know. I love watching my players just get so deep into the story because I play a lot of my D&D games and my other role-playing games is very story focused.
Yep.
The combat's there and it's fun, but I always use the combat to kind of heighten the story up.
Yep.
So I just like to watch their characters just interact with each other and get confused and get scared and angry. I've had a few players at my table like physically cry because something really impactful and powerful happened to their characters, and that's my win right there. Yeah.
I will say my favorite character Jason has ever played was a bar wench. And he put on this like girly voice and everything and was being all flirty with everyone. It was so funny. It was like the best. I loved it. Bring her back.
That's always fun. And just because I don't think you mentioned it, what's your character's class and all that?
She is a rogue moon elf.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's pretty cool. I like her a lot.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think
it's my
your
turn.
pull.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh no.
There's a couple at the bottom I saw kind of sneak around.
Alrighty.
We're gonna balance that side.
It's getting close.
Okay. So you love RPGs, board games, and all that. Have you ever thought about making this app, like expanding it to encompass RPGs and that type of thing, to soundscapes and things like that for role-playing games?
Absolutely, yeah. So we actually have in our roadmap, not for release, but for down the line, to include tools like that. So soundscapes, soundboarding, continuous music between tracks and things like that. So procedurally generated music.
Ooh.
So we have a lot of ideas for this app, and we definitely are going to be expanding it just outside of playing these particular scenario tracks. Around Isofaran Guard, there is tree decision branching. So if you choose, I want to do this or this, it'll sort of present you with a new set of audio files that you may not have been presented with. So that's another interesting tool that I think we'll bring in. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff in mind, but yeah, we definitely will be expanding this quite a bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All of what Jason said.
Fair.
Yeah. All right. I think there's a loose one right here.
Right.
One that won't disrupt.
There we go.
No, it's getting it up here. That's the problem.
Exactly.
I think I'm going to stagger it a little bit. There we go.
Alrighty. So, procedurally generated music.
Yeah.
How does that work for this kind of stuff?
Well, essentially what we would be doing is we would build this, and again, I just want to preface that this is not coming out when we launch.
Yes.
Okay.
No, this is the future, and this is just because I'm really curious.
Yeah. So basically, we would create a machine learning algorithm that would listen to both the previous and the future track, like so between, and then pull from a list of music and soundscapes that would pair well with the two, and then present that. So at the moment, for example, with Gloomhaven, you'd be scenario 1 intro. It would, you'd listen to it, it'd fade out very nicely, but there's nothing in between track 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So in the future, what we would like to do is, as the track fades out, we would bring in that music and then when you play the other one, that would fade out, and the new track would come up. So there's no break between what you're listening to.
Yeah. And it'll be really great too, because it'll eliminate so many hours of like preparation and work that DMs and like the host of the game, whatever game you're playing, tend to have to do. I think Jason has mentioned he's put in like 75 hours of work for one D&D game before.
That Christmas one,
and like I think, like, for me personally, I think that that's really great, and it's a great aspect, and it's like not necessarily selling point, because that's so markety in terms of talk, but it's a great feature to offer everyone, because then you don't have to go to somewhere like Sirenscape and search through all their catalogs, or go to YouTube and find something right. Like, I was playing Fantastic Factories the other day, and we had this weird elevator music that was just not working for the game at all. So to have something like Forteller where they're like already doing that catering for you, that is really going to help bring gaming to a whole new level.
I was gonna say, that sounds like something that I 100% will be using a ton.
Oh, that's great.
Like, I stream different games and things like that, and just being able to like, be like, all right, I want this type of music for this, and it's not just a loop of the same thing. It's like you get to like the algorithm like changes like what music is going on, but it still sticks with the same theme, which I think is great.
You know, and once we implement something like that, then especially with something like Isofaran Guard, where you're choosing your adventure almost. Because that's how the mechanics work. You could replay it and choose new decisions, and then you get new music, because it's literally generating it for you.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's a different experience every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're getting to the point where, let's see. So I think we're getting to the point where it's getting time to wrap up the interview. So I think I'm gonna say, one of you should pull something and let the tower fall.
I want to do it.
Or both of you.
No, I'll let her destroy.
Right. Hold on. We're gonna boomerang it at the same time.
Yep, let's do it.
Why not? Here, Jason, let you do it.
I will hold this then.
Okay. What's gonna be? Oh yeah, let's do this.
Oh.
I got it all over you.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Awesome. All right. So with that, what kind of questions do you guys want? Last one.
I guess about when we launch and how to get it.
Yeah, let's say that.
Okay.
What launch date or time frame, and what's coming out at launch?
Okay, so we're launching second week of January, 2020. So this is like in about a month or so.
Yeah.
It'll be on iOS and Android. Future builds, we're trying to get it out to more platforms. So. PC, Roku,
I was going to ask
stuff.
about that too. Yeah.
So, the first iteration will be Android and iOS, and we're going to launch with the core campaign for Gloomhaven. So it's 51 scenarios. And that's what we're launching with. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for joining me for the Jenga interview. It was great to have you, and I'm really looking forward to Forteller. And for all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned for more content coming out from PAX Unplugged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.